Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. It's my friends over at yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to do the sunset throw. This has been a popular request to do, and this is the Graphghan concept where we're going to be making a picture with inside a blanket. This is a Graphghan concept, so it is not tapestry. Tapestry is when we carry the yarn underneath the particular stitch work. So for example, you would carry this burgundy color all the way across in tapestry, but in the Graphghan work using bobbins, we're going to be just using those particular balls on their own as they appear. So we're going to be going through this particular technique, and this video I'm going to be teaching you different concepts on what you would like to do, but the reality is that you have to actually follow the diagram that's here. So we're going to be talking about that today, and let's get into that now. When you look at this blanket, you'll notice that there is 3 sunsets, so 1, 2, and 3. So when you look at the diagram here, you're noticing that it's only 1. So this is a repeat pattern going across there. So if you would like to make this wider, you can just continually add more sunsets across if you would like to do that. So there's not a lot of written instruction here, because the fact is that we're going to be following the diagram here. Now the key on this concept here is to look at this the chart key down here. So you'll notice that the boxes here are double height. Here, here, and here, and here, and you're going to notice those are double crochet rows when you're working those across. So it's actually giving you the colors right on the graph itself. The other boxes are smaller here, so those are single crochet rows. So it's going to be a mix of doing double crochet and single crochet, and noticing that when we do the actual sunset itself, it is in a single crochet round. So this is a really neat kind of concept. Now the fact is that this is using bobbins. So for example, when you're using this color here going all the way across, eventually it's going to divide off into the sunsets. So there's going to be this same color has to be a different ball here and a different ball here. So this ball here can either go in this direction or this direction, but you need a secondary ball in order to go around the sunset in order to do it, and then once it comes all the way back across, it's just one ball once again. So you have to consider that when you're working on this particular idea. So what you would do is just grab your yarn and just make up a little balls in order to make that happen. Now what size mini balls is basically up to you what you would like to do. So you're going to notice is that when you get more into this, there'll be more balls in play, but as soon as that it becomes a clean break like you see here all the way across your afghan, you're going to notice is that all this other stuff that we just had is now gone, and it gives you a fresh restart. So there's not a lot of times when there's that many balls in play at one time, so therefore it should not be a tangled mess. When we go to look at this particular chart, you're going to notice down here, so you'll notice that the double height that we have here, those are double crochets, and the little smaller boxes are single crochet. This is done in bobbin work. So what's going to happen is that every time there's a clean cut of a color, you're going to notice is that you'll need a separate ball. So when you're going to work across and you're using this beige color here, eventually you'll run into here. So the ball will either continue up this one side only, or to continue up the other, but it won't continue on both because you're not carrying the yarn underneath it. So you need a secondary ball in order to do the other piece right here. So when you look at this particular one right here, when you see this color beige, then what's going to happen is that you'll notice that one ball will go up, you'll need a second ball for here, a third ball for that, and then a fourth ball in order to complete all the way around. And then eventually once it becomes solid all the way across, you can eliminate all those extra balls out and just use one to continue along. So just like you see one color here, one color here, you'll see that it's opposite of each other. So you don't need 2 balls for that, because you'll use a ball here and then you'll use it here. And so you can do that each time. So for that particular area you'll need 3 balls completely, and then it comes back here. So there will be 3 balls again. So 1, 2, and 3. So you just have to kind of eye it up, and what size balls you're going to need is basically up to you. If you have a full ball that's available to you, it's easier, but if you need to make smaller balls, that's great. So one more thing before I leave you, row number 1 is considered the wrong side of the project. So you might want to put WS for wrong side, and this is the right side. So when we're going to work on it, so when we go across, you'll be going 1 and then 2 and then 3 and 4, but 1 is the wrong side. If you would like to change the size of this pattern, it's in multiples of 44 plus 6. So you just keep on going multiples of 44 plus 6. Let's begin row number 1. You can follow the colors on the pattern itself, so make sure you just download those if you wish. So you're going to begin and you can chain 138, but if you'd like to change the size, chain in multiples of 44, and then when you're happy with the width of your chain, then just add another 6. So that's what I'm gonna do. So either chain 138 or multiples of 44 plus 6. Once you have your chain and decided, you're now going to do row number 1, which will be the wrong side, which I'm going to mark with the stitch marker at the end of this row. Second chain from the hook, please. I want you to put in a single crochet, turn it to the back hump of the chain. It will look nicer, and you'll single crochet all the way across in the back hump across your chain. I'll see you at the end of this row where we'll mark it with the stitch marker and continue to row number 2. So I'm coming up to the end of this. This is row number 1. So what I want to do before I continue, just go back to the start of this on the same side, and I want you to grab a spare piece of yarn that's a different color than anything you're using, and just slip it into a piece of the stitch work that is on the front side here, and just go through there, and it just secure it, and you'll be taking this off later. So whenever you see this, you'll notice that it is the wrong side, so it's not on the other side, so this is the right side. Let's continue then into row number 2. A little tip that I just put for myself is that the right side will always go from A to B, the first set across, then C, so you'll come back to C, and then do to B, and then C to D, and that will finish off when going in this direction. So this is an even number row. On the wrong side, you'll be going from D through to C, then B through to C, and then B through to A in order to do this side. So that's gonna be the whole run across. So if you were doing the multiples and making this even more, you just kinda gotta look at this chart and just make up your mind on what you would like to do. Just keep in mind that the edges here are, that's keeping in mind here on the repeat when you go to really look at it from this perspective. So you see that the end of the repeat kinda ends hard here, and then it picks up again, so you get the spaces in between. So moving on to row 2, it's the same color, and it's just going to be chain up 1 and do 1 single crochet in each of the stitches all the way across. We're gonna be getting rid of this color then as we finish row number 2, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. So I'm coming up to the end of row number 2. This color is technically done. I'm gonna show you only once on how to fasten off. So you're just gonna trim your yarn. I would recommend a tapestry needle for sure, just to have a nice clean edge, and therefore you won't have anything falling out at the end. So just slam a tapestry needle onto the end, and then just dragging it underneath the stitch work. Stay within the same color. And I say that because in the future you may have multiple colors in play. And go back and forth a total of 3 times. And we're gonna go back to the diagram now and review a whole swath of doing this single crochet row. So let's turn our work, and we're going to begin row number 3 all the way through 10. Now 3 through 10 is just using 2 lines of one color, 2 lines of another color, 2 lines of the same color that you had, 2 lines of this, and then that's where I'm gonna pick you up next. So what I want you to do is just go back and forth and do your rows. They're just 2 single crochet rows per color, and I'm going to see you at the end of row number 10, and we'll pick up on number 11 at that point. So please just match your colors and just continue to go all the way across. So there's really no thinking involved. It's just a matter of color play. Let's do that, and I'll see you back here at the end of row number 10. And to recap, starting a new color, just create a slip knot. I would do a standing single crochet if it was me, and I would just go in with it already on the hook and pull through, and then pull through the 2, and that's a standing single crochet. And I would crochet right up over top of the strands, and therefore that should never fall out. So once you cross it over enough times, you see, just let it fall to the back, and you can use a tapestry needle then to secure that in as well. So please do this, and I'll see you at the end of row number 10 in just a few moments. So I've now just finished up to row number 10. So you see it's a nice clean stripe. So now we're going to move on into this pattern, and we're going to begin a few more rows of double crochet. Let's go back to the graph now. So in the graph we're going to pick up on row number 11 and 12, and they're double crochet rows, so they're taller in the boxes. So you'll do this striping, so 1 and 2 rows of this, 1 and 2 of that, and etc. And I want you to get all the way to the end of row number 20, so just continue to follow. So let me show you how to start your double crochet and continue along. So put your yarn on the hook and start with your first stitch, and you're just going to attach it. So just pull through and through, and then chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Go right up over top of your straggler as is, and just double crochet in each of the stitches all the way across, and then turn your work, chain 3, and double crochet all the way back, and then continue to chain just do 2 rows of each color that it says in the graph, and then I'll meet you back here in just a few moments, and we're gonna be starting on the bottom section of the sunset itself. I now have up to row number 20 done. If you've noticed in this pattern, if you've been reading it, is that you'll notice that the repeat is from 11 all the way to 64. So that just keep that in mind when you're going to do this. So now as we continue, we're now going to head into the sunset section itself, but we need to plan that before we actually start. So let's begin to look at the graph once again. As we look at the graph, we're going to be continuing with this tan color, or this beige color. Once again, we've been doing it in the rows, but as I mentioned, it's going to have to divide off, so you'll need extra yarn balls, or what is called as bobbins. So you'll make mini balls in order to make this. So when you go to look at the pattern, you'll see that you'll need a little bobbin for this section here and this one. So 2, 3, and 4. So you need a total of 4 balls in order to make that happen. So you can use a main ball for one section, and then 3 secondary balls then for the next section. But what you have to keep in mind is that when it divides off here in the future, you not only have the outside, so 1, 2, and 3. So when you look at it from this perspective, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you need 7 secondary balls. So sorry, 1 main ball and 6 secondary balls in order to make that happen. And you're gonna notice is that there's 2 stitches of just this color here, so you'll need an extra little section just for that in order to fill that in. So as it gets out here, it'll eventually all come back into one, so all of those little balls will be gone, and then you'll be just going across then. So make sure that you're ready to do that, and make sure you have the number of bobbins that you think you're going to need, and this is awesome. What I will show you is that when you have this one here, you have 3 sunsets, so you'll need 3 balls of this, or 1 main ball and 2 bobbins every time you're doing this particular section. Here, the bobbin that you use here can be used over here, and so you'll be seeing that as well, and etc. So hopefully this makes sense. So let's do 4 rows of the tan color, or the beige color that you have, and then we're going to be continuing along. So I'm gonna be making some bobbins now. So let's do rows number 21 all the way to 24. It's 4 rows, and I'm going to be using the main ball itself, and you're gonna go all the way across on this particular one. So the sunsets haven't started yet, so do 4 rows going all the way across your throw, and continue with that, and then we'll be back in just a moment, and then we'll begin the next part as we really start doing the Graphghan work next. So I'm officially ready to start row number 25, which is the bottom side of the sun. So what we have here is that we had written down here, and this is in the instructions, we're going to go from D through to C. So D, so this is an edge piece, so don't worry about that. So D through to C. And so you're going to count the number of stitches that it takes in order to get there, and in my case it was 18. Then there's 11 of this color, and before you get to the next sun, it's 15 here, and then the repeat again, which is another 19. So that's a case of 34. So there's 34 stitches of this all the way to the bottom of the next sun. So I'm about to turn. So you'll have all these yarn balls that are gonna hang off it. Obviously if you do the full size you'll have a lot more balls, but the yarn that is being left should it be in behind right now, so that when we go to pull it up it'll be ready for us. Any items that we went over top of, just kind of tighten it up, and then you can just snip it out of the way. If you want to use a tapestry needle you can do so. So make sure you don't trim any yarn that is actually leading to a ball. Now we talked about already is that we know the next row the sun is getting bigger, so we're going to start the sun 1 stitch early and then carry it on one stitch later, and then you carry on and maintain the same color until you see the sun again, and again the stitch before the sun becomes the new color here, and the stitch after, and then this color is carrying up. So I'm gonna show you a technique because we have to get this yarn to come up over on an angle in order to do that. So in the meantime we're going to get ourselves over there first. So just starting up, so just chain up one, do a single crochet all the way to the stitch, 2 stitches before the sun, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. So I'm getting closer. So this is the top of the sun. So I want to make the next one here that was this color the new sun color. So this here, the last stitch, is where I'm going to drop this color, and I'm gonna bring the sun up and finish that. Now see this strand that I just did? That's going to be noticeable unless you keep an eye on this. So what I recommend is that when you come into the next stitch with this new color is that you come up underneath, keep this on top of it so that it will get stuck, and so this is your new sun. And see, this is still dragging, so I would scoop that then for the next stitch and then just crochet, and see it's completely gone. And you want to do that every time that happens. So I'm just going to use this color, do my sun. Okay, so here's the sun. We're gonna do one after, and what I need you to do, scoop this yarn here before you do it, so then it'll be up and ready for you, and then you're going to drop this and then grabbing this one, pulling it through, and then you're going to continue along until the next sun, and again you'll do the stitch before and after the sun, and you'll do this all the way to the edge. So if you're just wanting to continue along, please do so, and you will see that it's not necessarily a perfect looking thing. This is something that you cannot avoid. So if it looks like that and you think you're screwing up, it's not. That's just the nature of the beast. So I'm ready to go back now. Now only 2 rows are this color, and now it's gonna be another 2. So this last color I just finished off with, just cut it. We're not gonna carry it up any further, and what we can do is that we can hide that in next time we're coming across this, but we're gonna introduce our next color in when we get there, and again it'll be the stitch before and the stitch after. I'll demonstrate this one more time and then I'll leave the rest of it for you in this particular case. So just start up and just go to the stitch before as you had been before. So the stitch next one here is going to be the new color. So before I finish the last one, just loop it and pull through like that. Let it stay on top and then coming in. So make sure that this brown comes in behind and stays in behind. Don't accidentally crochet over top of it. Crochet right up over top of the straggler to hide it, and then you can pull it tight in order to do that. Now you're gonna want to hide this color in as you're going, so just tucking it underneath the stitch, you're just going to crochet up over both of those strands for a bit in order to hide those in. So remember that this one here goes to the stitch after where it's sitting, or where the sun is, and then you'll grab the new color. So the bottom of the suns are actually pretty straightforward and just in the growth, and then in the top of the sun is just gonna be decreasing. So you're coming into this one here. I would grab this brown one before you do it though, scoop it so it's ready. So you're coming into that one and then let this fall and then scoop the brown and then carry on, and then that prevents that from looking like it's dragging. So you'll do that all the way to the other side. So let's just go back to the chart and let's quickly review. So I've showed you how to change your colors when you're going to do this. So I want you to do the whole bottom of the sun, and then we're gonna do 4 rows of this, and then we're gonna be just introducing that. So I'm going to leave the rest of this section for you, and then basically you're gonna have your 3 suns going across and etc. So please do that, and I'll see you back here, and we'll carry up then on to row number 35 with 4 rows of the beige color once again. So just come all the way across. My bottom of the sun is done. So any of these stragglers that you have left over, I've already trimmed them, but you can get rid of all your stragglers, but keep the last one here. Hopefully it's to a big ball, and what we're going to do is just 4 rows then of this main color just to highlight it and make it awesome, and then we're going to then progress to those middle parts of the sun after that. So 4 rows of single crochet, and when I turn this around you can see some of my bobbin work, so I want to hide those in as I go and do my 4 rows, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. So let's begin to do this fun part right here. So we're going to be starting, and we're starting from, remember we have in the instruction we have what we have from D through C, B through C, B through A. So starting out here is that we have 3 stitches before it ends up hitting the blue, and then these pieces here are 15 stitches each. So there's 15, and then before you hit the next one right here there's a total of 11, and then 15, and then to restart the next one that will be in the next sun there will be 4 stitches before that happens. So again we're establishing where the base of these things are and being able to maintain. What I feel is that this is out of alignment for myself, so obviously I'm counting wrong from the very beginning. So I'm gonna leave this in the tutorial because the fact is that this will happen to anybody. So what you could do if I were you and you weren't watching me, I would look straight up from the sun like this and say, okay, I have 11 of these that are supposed to be in the middle. So I would think about moving those and counting how many stitches that you can move over to be able to shift this in order to get it to work. So that's something that I would consider doing, and I'm going to do that here off camera. So I'm going to just eye it up like this and then count how many I think I need in order to move on over to have that, and we'll restart from again. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna eye up the middle of this thing here, and there is 11 of this tan color right in a row here. So I'm just gonna use a spare color because I can, and I'm totally winging it at this moment. So where the pencil is coming up, that's 1 stitch, so don't count that one, and I need 11. So I'm going to count then in the opposite direction. So I'm gonna count 5 going off starting in the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to put a stitch marker there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So the 11th one is where I'm gonna put the other stitch marker. Does that look in the middle of what you wanna do? Are you buying it? So there you go. So there is my center. So what I'm gonna do then is that if this is my 11 that's in the center, the 15 that are on the other side I'm gonna start and count here. So just grabbing another stitch marker, let's just do 2 more. And you may want to do this all the way across. So starting in the next one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So that's the end. So I've completely marked where I need to go. So my first color, the tan, will stop here, and then my blue will pick up here. I'll have my middle tan here, and then I'll have my burgundy here, and then I'll be back to tan. So you may want to do this all the way across. I'm gonna leave this in the tutorial just in case this happens to you. This is a kind of thing that people would email me on because it's not working out. So I'm gonna leave this, and we're gonna continue with this row. So I've already started the row at chain 1. I did a single crochet in the first one, and I'm single crocheting the next. And right where I stitch marked is exactly where I'm gonna start my new blue color. To finish that, and then it'll be 15 of this blue. So I have 1, 2, and 15. So my 15 are in. So the middle have already been marked, and so I'm just using a spare piece of yarn. Some of you kindly refer to it as yarn barf. I do too, but I don't say that word too much online. Okay, so actually now that I have finished that last one, I'm just gonna undo it and make sure the color changes. And then I'm gonna do this here. So there should be 11 right in the middle. So 1 and 11. So in the 11th one I'm going to switch out, and I'm going to do the new color. And remember, it's 15. So you can pull out these stitch markers once I think you got it. So let's count those out. So 1, 14, and 15, and that's the last one that's been marked. So that one could be go. So just undo it slightly so that you can just switch the color back. and so we just need that another ball. So there's gonna be a lot more bobbins in play with this particular part of the blanket. So you're just going to finish this with this color. So in this particular row I showed you how to cheat the system by using the existing sun so everything stays in balance, just in case your stitch counts don't work out. I think I might have miscounted or something, I don't know. But now that I have this done, we're gonna notice is that the arrows will then start pointing inward, so the edges will start one later, and then this will then carry on one after, and etc., and leaning towards the center. So we're gonna do the next row just the same way as we've done it before, and let's continue. Let's move on. We're going to continue then, and so this technique is what you would do at the top of your sun. So you'll just start off, and you have to start one later than where it's supposed to. So you're going to carry on. So carry this up so it drags up, and then release it, and then pull it up because it'll be ready for the next stitch. And now you're going to use that particular color to go over. So by carrying it up like that, it helps it to get hidden right in there. I was online this morning and somebody was showing a Graphghan and they turned it to the back side and they had a million tails hanging out, but this is the best way to do it so that your blanket can be completely reversible. So remember that this part here, it will go one after. Okay, so drag this brown up and drag it into that color, and then you're gonna release it. And remember that the next one that we have is going to start one before. Okay, so it's gonna start next. So carry it up. And it's like before, so the next one you're gonna just make sure that you go up underneath that, and then the next one you're just gonna scoop it and going in, and it will hide it. And then you'll carry on. And remember that it ends one early. And you'll do that so that the center is going to be leaning inward. So it's gonna end one early. So you're just gonna release that, pull this up and drag it over, and then you're gonna scoop up underneath it, and I would scoop it one more time for the next stitch. And you'll carry that, and you'll do this all the way across then with the same idea with each one of the suns, and then you'll turn it and then begin the next row. In the next row we're going to start the yellow at the middle of the sun, and so you'll start up and you'll just chain your one, and you'll just carry on doing those arrow shapes, and remember it'll start one after where you're currently sitting. Okay, so scoop that and get it stuck underneath there, pull it tight, and then release, and then keep on moving. So remember it'll finish one stitch after. Okay, so it's going one after, so scoop that brown to get it stuck, and there's only just 3 stitches of this brown. It's the very middle one that is going to be the yellow. So pulling things nice and tight, so you have 1, 2, and the third is when you need to change your color in order to come back to the yellow. So you're just gonna pull your yellow, and it's only for 1 stitch, so you're gonna go into the next one, yellow, but you can't finish it, you have to release it, and this is where you need that extra piece of coloring in order to have just this little section. So I have another ball now in play, and make sure you leave any yarn colors in behind. And then remember that this one arrow starts one early, so you have to release this and get this up and drag it over. The next one you're gonna scoop up underneath to pull it over, and then scoop it again for the next one, and then carry on and make sure that you end 1 stitch early in this particular one, and then going across. So this particular row you're gonna have quite a bit of bobbin work going on, and it's not for long, and then it will be releasing some bobbins just to prevent the tangle. So carry on all the way across. You're gonna end 1 early on this color, and then continue along to the next part of the suns. Okay, so this is the last one. Put your color, drag it, and then scoop it one more time. I used to not scoop it the second time, but it looks so much better if you do. And then you're gonna turn your work, and then this will be the last time for each one of these colors on either side, so you can release those and cut those as you're continuing across. Let's do the next row. So as we start another row, we're just gonna chain up one, and we're gonna start one late. Okay, so we're on here. I would actually scoop that. I should have scooped it before I did it. So scoop it and get it ready, and then release and do this. So this will continue across, and it will end one after. Okay, so we're gonna do one after. Scoop that brown up. This brown is only gonna be in there for one stitch. So pick it up and do the next one, and then this, release that brown and get that yellow ready, and just drag it on over. So the dragging on over of the yellow is actually gonna be dragging over just one stitch over like it usually is. So drag it, scoop it again for the next one, and then do the next one, and then there's nothing to pick up now. So the brown has been left behind. So the brown needs to have another little one just to do one lousy stitch. Actually 2 lousy stitches. So you'll have to do this stitch next. So there's another little bobbin. Can you imagine doing like a major blanket? It scares me to do that, but people do it. So this is just for one stitch, and you're gonna release it, and then you're gonna pick up your blue. So keep an eye on your bobbins. This is when it can get dicey. You may create some words that you didn't realize were in your mouth. So you're starting one early and then continuing to scoop that, and etc. So you'll finish one early on the other side, and then just carry on to your next sun. So there's a lot of detail here in the center, but then once we get beyond a certain point it gets easier. So I think you're good to go. So just end one early of this color, and then just hit the other color, and then get to the next sun, and etc. So please do this all the way across. So I'm all the way across. These blue and this one is done. So if you want to lean it forward, you can just grab onto those particular colors, and you can cut those so that it's easier for you to be able to manage. You could have done it as you went across as well. And what we're going to do is be switching places with that particular yarn. I would leave the center in place at this time, and we're going to continue then into the next round. So we'll continue again into the next row. So the arrows are gonna change positions. So orange will go over here, blue over here. So when we go to start this particular concept then, is that the first row is going to match exactly what you see. So the stitches will match, the yellow will match, and then the next time in the next row is that the yellow will just be one stitch, and then the yellow's done. So then therefore that's done. So you don't really need to think about that too much. Then after that you're going to start then going back in the opposite direction. So you're gonna start one stitch early, finish one stitch early, and etc. And then you'll be picking up this brown then more in the center as you begin to do it. So let's do this row. So we're just going to chain up one, and so it's just matching exactly what you see. The difference is that the colors are just switching spots. So I've already trimmed out those yarns so they're ready to go. Okay, so the next color is something here, so I'm gonna change it to the orange, and I'm going to scoop up that blue, the straggler here, just to catch that into position, and the orange straggler is at the same time. It saves sewing in later, and I'm just gonna match exactly what I see. So I'm gonna end this when the blue ends, and then I'm gonna pick up the brown, the right one, and it's just one stitch of brown, and then I'm gonna let that come to the back. This is just a straggler, so I am not gonna trim it yet because I don't think I secured the first part yet. So I'm just gonna pull through with the yellow, and then match the yellow. So there's only 3. And then I'm gonna pick up the other brown, just do the 1 stitch and then let that fall, and then the blue ends up coming to this side. And so you're just gonna match exactly. So if it's orange, it goes blue this time. You'll do that all the way, and you'll keep doing all of your suns that way, all the way across. So when the orange runs out, the blue should as well. You're gonna let that fall, pick it up, scoop, and do this all the way until the next arrows that you have, and then you'll be switching those positions as well. Okay, so let's just turn this and talk, because I actually think that you should be good to go for the remaining of this tutorial, and let's talk about that. So I just trimmed off all my yarn, so I'm gonna call it quits here. So in this particular tutorial you learned on how to grow outward and also how to grow inward when you did that about scooping up your yarn. It's just a matter of following that graph. So after you get the other side of this arrow done, so we just finished off and we did 1 portion here, we gotta do 3 more rows. This is just gonna be 1 stitch left for the gold, and then the other 2 rows that are left are just gonna be these solid colors with just this brown in the middle. So you're going to then put another spacing of 4 of this color, and then you're going to do the sun on the top side, and basically you're going to start off larger and then get yourself narrow. You may want to do that technique that I showed you about looking for the middle point of your sun to be able to determine where you think it should go, just in case your stitch counts are off. And it's just a great way just to have a double verification. So this is a really neat pattern. It just requires you to be able to take a look at your stitch counts and to be able to just kind of follow things as you go. And just as if you hide your yarn as you go, it's a lot easier than ending up in the end of the project and having something that has all these tails hanging out of. But you can see it really does have a beautiful reflection along the water right up here, and you'll see that happening. And this here is the sunset throw. I really think that you should be good to go, and that's it for now. So once you get beyond then the 4 rows after the top of the sun, you'll return back to the top of these double crochets and then repeat this all again. You will see that in the instructions as well, and you will do that, and I believe in the pattern there's a total of 3 sets of suns that you have, and then what you'll do is that you'll finish your edge just the way that you see here. Okay, so it should be relatively easy to go. So that's it for today. I hope that you've had a good day, and this is the sunset throw.